Aldo Fabrizi, tonight's narrator, will be along in just a moment, and I will step aside. And here we are. Hand things over to Aldo.
Thank you, Jackie. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Greater Worcester Opera's reading of Pierre Beaumarchais' play, The Marriage of Figaro. My name is Aldo Fabrizi. I'm the music director of the Greater Worcester Opera, but since there will be no music in this evening's performance, I'll be acting as narrator for tonight. I think Jackie just covered some of this, but again, before we begin, just make sure that you try to keep yourself muted and your video off, as we have, and probably the numbers will grow later on. It's, likely we'll have a whole number of people on this call, on the Zoom call. And, if we had like 40, 50 open microphones, you can imagine what kind of chaos we might have. So try to help us out and keep yourself muted while we're doing this, and we would appreciate that very much. I'd like to take just a quick opportunity to mention several upcoming live concerts presented by the Greater Worcester Opera. On July 22nd, which is a week from tonight, we'll be bringing you music from Italy, arias from our favorite Italian composers. 2 weeks from tonight, on July 29th, we'll be performing some of our favorite Gilbert and Sullivan arias. And on August 5th, we'll be performing Letters from Quarantine, a live reading of selections of letters exchanged between John Adams and his wife, Abigail, written during the smallpox epidemic while this country was being founded. Fascinating, timely. For any of you who may remember when we did this production, a production of Marriage of Figaro in 2016, we at the Greater Worcester Opera, obviously the material is based on this play, but in an opera you have to condense the material because singers have a way of stopping to sing every 10 minutes. Every time they have a thought or an emotion, they decide that they're going to sing for a while. And then, the play moves on, and then they stop, and then they sing for another 5 or 10 minutes again. And so, if you didn't condense the material, then the play would go on forever and ever and ever. So tonight there will be no singing, and you will get the full play the way it was originally intended to be heard. But for those of you who do remember our performances from 2016, you'll be happy to know that we're very fortunate to have assembled most of the original cast here for tonight's performance. And those cast members, or the cast members for tonight, most again of whom were here the first time around: Figaro, Miles Rind; Suzanne, Elaine Crane; Count Almaviva, Ed Savage; Countess Almaviva, Christine Petkus; Cherubin, Nicholas Marques; Marceline, Kathy Blaisdell; Bartholo, Frank Walker; Antonio, Benjamin Morse; Bazile, Ted Blaisdell; Fanchette, Nicole Newell; court usher Pedrillo and the footman, Mike Legue; Don Gusman, Brid'Oison; Brad Amidon; Grip Soleil, Eric Butler; and doublement yours truly. So without any further ado, Greater Worcester Opera presents Beaumarchais' The Marriage of Figaro.
"19 foot by 26.
Look, Figaro, my wedding bonnet. Do you reckon it looks better like this?
My pet is perfect. Ah, what sight could be better calculated to enslave a doting bridegroom than a dainty virginal garland on the head of his pretty wife-to-be on the morning they are to be married?
What are you measuring, my sweet?
I'm trying to work out, Suzanne, dear girl, if the grand bed his lordship's given us will fit snugly in here.
Here, in this room?
In this very room. He's letting us have it.
I don't want it.
Why not?
I just don't want it.
Why ever not?
I don't like it.
People usually give a reason.
What if I don't want to?
The minute women get you in their pockets.
Having to prove I'm right means admitting that I could be wrong. Aren't you or aren't you my slave?
But you can't just take against the most convenient room in the whole castle. It's between the two apartments. If her ladyship doesn't feel well in the night, she'll ring from that side and tippity-tip, you're there in 2 ticks. Or if his lordship wants something, all he has to do is ring on his side and hoppity-skip, I'm there in 2 shakes.
Exactly. But when he rings in the morning and sends you off on some wild goose chase, tippity-flip, he'll be here in 2 ticks and then hoppity-skip in 2 shakes.
What exactly do you mean by that?
I want you to listen quietly to what I'm going to say.
Good God, what are you getting at?
This, my sweet. Count Almaviva is tired of chasing all the pretty women in the locality. Now he's got something closer to home in mind. Not his wife. It's yours that he has his eye on. Are you with me? And he thinks that putting us in this room won't exactly hinder his plans. And that's what the ever-faithful Bazile, ignoble purveyor of pleasures to his lordship, and my esteemed singing teacher tells me every day when he gives me my lesson.
Bazile, the spineless wonder. What he needs is a damn good thrashing with a stick to beat his obsequious bend out of his backbone and make him stand up straight.
Don't tell me you actually believe the dowry the Count's giving me was meant as in public recognition of your sterling qualities.
I've done more than enough to think so.
Clever people aren't very bright, are they?
So they say.
They say it, but they don't believe it.
Obviously a mistake.
Well, you can believe this. He means to use the money to persuade me to give him a few moments private for the exercising of the old droit de seigneur he thinks he's entitled to. You know what a disgusting business that is.
And if his lordship hadn't renounced his nauseating right when he got married, I'd never have considered holding our wedding anywhere near his estate.
Well, if he really gave it up, he now wishes he hadn't. And it's with your bride that he's going to reinstate it today.
The shock has softened my brains. I can feel cuckold's horns sprouting.
Stop scratching them.
I'm in no danger, am I?
Rub the spot red and superstitious people will start to think.
You're teasing me, you little minx. But if only there was some way of turning the tables on his cheating lordship, we could set a trap for him to fall into and then walk off with his money.
Plotting and money, you're in your element.
It's nothing to be ashamed of. Anyway, it's not shame that makes me hesitate.
Is it fear?
Taking on a dangerous business is nothing. But bringing it off without putting yourself at risk, that's something else. Look, you can break into a man's house in the middle of the night, seduce his wife, get a good hiding for your trouble. There's nothing to it. But there are bungling oafs who do it all the time. But on the other hand...
Oh, that's her ladyship awake. She said I was to be sure to be the first person to speak to her on my wedding day.
Is there more funny business behind that, too?
The shepherd said it brings good luck to neglected wives. I must go. Figure it out, Figaro. Put your mind to work on our little problem.
Give me a kiss to get me started.
Kiss my lover today? Not likely. What would my husband say tomorrow? All right, that's enough.
You have no idea how much I love you.
When are you going to stop bothering me by going on about it from morning to night?
When I can prove it to you from night until morning.
You can have your kiss back, kind sir, but I don't want anything else of yours.
That's not what you said when you took it from me. She's wonderful, always laughing. Fresher than springtime, sunny, funny, loving, and delightful in every conceivable way. Such a wise head, too. So, your lordship and honored sir, you thought you could put one over on me. It did cross my mind to wonder why, after making me steward at his chateau, he decided I should accompany him on his tour of duty and act as his official courier. Now I get it, Excellency. 3 promotions at a stroke. You, rising ambassador. Me, diplomatic dog's body. And Suzanne, circulating lady and undeclared ambassadress. Right you are, courier. Away you go. And while I'm galloping this way, you're leading my Suzanne up the garden path that way. I splash through mud and give my all for the honor of your family, while you're kindly doing your bit to increase the size of mine. You reckon that's a fair exchange? But your lordship's overdoing it. There you are in London, attending to your master's business and at the same time looking after your valet's interests. Deputizing for both the king and me in a foreign court is simply too much for one person. As for you, Bazile, you miserable squirt, I'll show you not to teach your grandmother to suck eggs. No. Let's pretend to go along with them and play them one off against the other. Best foot forward, Figaro. This is the big day. Start by bringing the wedding forward 1 hour to make sure the ceremony goes off as planned. Fend off Marceline, who's taken a fancy to you. Collect the dowry and the wedding presents. Foil the Count's naughty little game and give Bazile a good hiding. And oh, why, it isn't the fat physician. Now the gang's all here. Top of the morning to you, my dear, dear doctor. Could it be my imminent marriage with Suzanne that has directed your steps to the chateau?
Certainly not, my good man.
It would show you in a forgiving light.
True, but it would be too absurd for words.
And all because I was unfortunate impediment to your own nuptials.
Is that all you've got to say to me?
I don't suppose anyone's looking after your mule.
You talk too much. Go away.
You're not cross, doctor. People in your line of work can be very hard. Really, you have no more sympathy for poor dumb animals than if they were human beings. Goodbye, Marceline. Still thinking of taking me to court? Though no love's lost between us, let not black hate demean us. I'll leave the doctor to adjudicate.
Adjudicate what?
She'll tell you about it.
The clown. He never changes. If he doesn't get flayed alive first, I predict he'll die the thickest skinned, the most arrogant and insolent man.
And here you are, too, the same old doctor, still so grave and solemn that patients might die waiting for your help, just as once upon a time, all your precautions failed to prevent a certain person being married.
And you are still as bitter and irritating. So why is my presence so urgently required at the chateau? Has something happened to the Count?
No, doctor.
Perhaps Rosine, his two-faced Countess, is God willing indisposed.
She's depressed.
About what?
The Count neglects her.
A fine, upstanding husband and my avenger.
It's hard to describe his lordship. He's a rake and he's jealous.
He's a rake because he's bored, and he's jealous because he's vain. It's all very straightforward.
Take today, for example. He arranged for our Suzanne to marry his man Figaro, who is being handsomely rewarded for going through with the wedding.
Which is excellent he has made necessary.
Not exactly, but his lordship intends to add a little spice to the occasion with his bride.
Figaro's bride? He'll go along with it if the terms are right.
Apparently not, according to Bazile.
Is that oath of living here? It's a den of thieves. And what does he do?
As much mischief as he can. But from my point of view, the worst thing about him is the tedious way he harps on about always having been in love with me.
If it was me he was running after, I'd have stopped him a score of times.
How?
By marrying him.
A tasteless remark from an unfeeling man. Why don't you use the same solution to stop me bothering you? Don't you owe it to me? Have you forgotten your promises? Have you no memory of our little Emmanuel, fruit of a long-dead love that should have led to marriage?
Did you bring me all the way here from Seville to make me listen to this rubbish? The attack of the matrimonials which you have in an acute form.
Very well. Let's drop the subject. But since it seems that nothing will persuade you to do the right thing and marry me, help me at least to marry someone else.
Of course. Consider the subject raised again. But what mortal man abandoned by gods and women would...
But who else could it be, doctor, but handsome, likable, lovable Figaro?
That nasty piece of work.
Never angry, always cheerful, living happily for the present, and worrying as little about the future as about the past. Jaunty, generous, as giving...
As a burglar.
As a lord. He is a charmer, yet he's an unfeeling monster.
And Suzanne?
She's a sly one, but she won't get him, provided, doctor, you help me force him to keep a promise he has given me.
But he's getting married today.
Weddings have been stopped at the last moment before now, and if it didn't mean giving away a feminine secret...
Do women have secrets from their doctor?
You know I have none from you. We women are passionate but timid. We may well be charmed and attracted by pleasure, but the boldest of us is aware of a voice within her which says, "Be fair if you can, and wise if you will, but be wary you must." Now, since being careful is so crucial, as every woman knows, Let's start by giving Suzanne a fright by disclosing details of the other offer she's had.
What would that achieve?
She'll choke on the shame of it. She will continue to say no to the Count. The Count will want his revenge and will back my objections to her marriage, leaving mine to go ahead unopposed.
You're right. By God, it's neat. My old housekeeper hitched to the swine who stopped me marrying off my ward.
And thinks he can add to his own enjoyment by disappointing my hopes.
And once stole £100 from me, which I haven't forgotten.
Oh, how deeply satisfying it would be.
To punish a rogue?
To marry him, Doctor, to marry him.
To marry him? To marry him? Marry who? My Figaro?
Why not? You're planning to, aren't you?
A fine example of an angry woman's logic. We were just saying, Suzanne, what a lucky man he'll be to have a girl like you.
Likewise, his lordship. But we won't go into that.
Your humble servant, madame. There's always something deeply unpleasant in everything you say.
And I am yours, madame. But where's the unpleasantness? Is it not meet and right that a generous lord should share the happiness he procures for his servants?
Procures?
Procures, madam.
Fortunately, madam, your jealousy is as much common knowledge as your claims on Figaro are slim.
Those claims would have been more binding had I chosen to strengthen them by adopting the methods you have used.
Oh, my methods, madame, are those of any lady of your advanced years and intelligence would use.
And what would a slip of a girl know about intelligence? As much as an old judge knows about innocence.
Goodbye, Figaro's pretty bride-to-be.
And his lordship's secret paramour.
Who holds madame in great esteem.
And will madame grant me the honor of favoring me with a little of her affection?
In that respect, madame has nothing further to desire.
Madame is such a pretty young person.
Pretty enough to give madame bad dreams.
Such a blameless reputation.
Blameless reputations are for elderly housekeepers.
Elderly housekeepers? Elderly housekeepers?
Marceline!
We're going, Doctor. I shan't be responsible for my actions. Good day to you, madam.
Yes, go. Go away, pompous old fusspot. I'm not afraid of what you might do, and I despise your insults. The old bat. Just because she went to school for a while and made her ladyship's life a misery when she was young, she thinks she rules the roost in the chateau.
He throws the dress she is holding over the back of a chair.
Now, what did you come in here for?
Suzette, I spent 2 hours waiting for a chance to get you all to myself. It's awful. You're going to be married and I'm going away.
What's my marriage got to do with his lordship's favorite page leaving the chateau?
He's given me my marching orders.
Cherubin, what have you been up to?
Last night he caught me with your cousin Fanchette. I was helping her with her lines. She's got a small part as a shepherdess in the revels tonight. He was mad when he saw me. Get out, he said. You little... Well, I can't say the word he used when there's a lady present because it's rude. Get out. This is the last night you'll spend in this house. If her ladyship, my wonderful, beautiful godmother, can't talk him round, then it's all over with me, Suzette. I'll be forever denied the happiness of seeing you.
Seeing me? Oh, it's me now, not the mistress that you secretly idolize?
Oh, Suzette, she is as noble as she is fair, but she's a bit forbidding.
And I'm not, I suppose, and you feel free to take liberties with me, but...
Don't be horrid. You know very well I never feel free enough to take a liberty. You're so lucky. You can see her anytime you want. You can talk to her, dress her in the morning, and undress her at night, pin by pin. Oh, Suzette, I'd give... What have you got there?
This? Oh, it's only the thrice-blessed cap and fortune-favored ribbon that ties up the hair of
the ribbon that goes round her hair at night. Give me that. My precious.
Oh, no, you don't. My precious indeed. You're getting above yourself. If you weren't such an insignificant, sniveling weevil. The ribbon.
You can't say it's been mislaid, lost. Oh,
well,
anything you like.
I give you 3 or 4 years and you'll be the biggest lying villain that ever was. Will you give me back that ribbon?
Taking a sheet of paper from his pocket,
let go. Oh, Suzette, let me keep it. Look, I'll give you the words to this song I've written instead. And through the memory of your beautiful mistress will cast a pall of gloom over my every waking hour. Thinking of you will be the one gleam of happiness that will light my aching heart.
Light your aching heart. The cheek of it. You're not talking to your Fanchette now. You get caught with her, you drool all over her ladyship, and if that wasn't enough, you have the cheek to try it on me.
I know, you're right. I have no idea what's come over me. These last few days, I've felt my heart pound every time I see a woman. The words love and tender make it race. The need to tell someone I love you has become so strong that when I'm by myself running through the grounds, I shout it out loud to her ladyship, to you, to the trees, to the clouds, to the wind that blows the clouds away and the words with them. Yesterday, I met Marceline. Why not? She's a woman. She's not married. Not married woman. Oh, aren't they wonderful words? So exciting.
You're mad.
Fanchette's so sweet. At least she listens to me. You're not sweet at all.
Isn't that a crying shame? Now listen to me, young man.
Okay, no, you don't. If you want it back, it'll be over my dead body. And if you think that's too small a price to pay, I'll throw 1,000,000 kisses.
It'll be 1,000,000 clips over the ear if you come any closer. I'm just going to complain to her ladyship. And instead of speaking up for you to his lordship, I'll tell him straight. You're quite right, sir. Kick him out. He steals things. Send him back to his mother and father. He's a bad lot. He makes out and he's in love with the mistress and has made trying to kiss me instead.
Oh, that's torn it.
What are you scared of? Oh,
Something upset you, Suzanne? Alone talking to yourself. And little heart, no doubt, in a whirl. But all very understandable, really, on a day like today.
Was there something you wanted, sir? If I was seen alone with you, then I would...
It would be most inconvenient if I were to be found here. But I think you are aware of my feelings. I assume Bazile has told you I love you. I've only got a moment to tell you my plan, so listen.
I won't listen.
It won't take a moment. You've heard that the king has appointed me as his ambassador to London. I'm taking Figaro with me. It's a very good opportunity. I'm offering him, and since it's a wife's duty to follow her husband...
If only I could speak my mind.
Oh, go ahead. Speak, my dear. Speaking freely is a right you have acquired over me for life, so you might as well start right now.
It's not a right I want. I don't want anything to do with it. Just leave me alone, please.
But first say what you were going to say.
I don't remember what it was.
About a wife's duty.
Very well. When your lordship stole your wife away from under the doctor's nose and married her for love, and on her account abolished a certain horrible custom.
Oh, the one the girls all hated. But Suzette, it is a charming old custom. Come and talk to me in the garden later when it's getting dark, and I'll make it worth your while. It's only a tiny thing.
His lordship's not in his room.
Whose voice is that?
I can't bear this.
Go and see what it's about. We don't want anyone coming in here.
And leave you here?
His lordship went up to see the mistress, but he's not there now. I'll try in here.
There's nowhere to hide. Ah, behind this chair. It's only just big enough. Get rid of him as quickly as you can.
As the Count crouches to take his place, Cherubin runs round to the front of the chair and, tucking his legs under him, jumps onto the seat where he cringes in terror. Suzanne reaches for the dress she's been carrying thrown over the page and stands in front of the chair.
I don't suppose you've seen the Count, mademoiselle?
Why should I have seen him? Go away.
If you weren't so prickly, you'd know it is a perfectly reasonable question. It's not me who's looking for him. It's Figaro.
Then he's looking for someone who wants to do him more harm than anyone else on earth, except you.
See how well he serves me.
Is wanting to do a wife a good turn the same as wanting to do harm to her husband?
Not by the appalling standards of a troublemaker like you.
What are you being asked to do that you aren't ready to do? Very willingly, with another man. You go through a simple ceremony, and then what you are forbidden to do yesterday, you'll be required to do tomorrow.
Don't be disgusting.
Of all the serious things in life, marriage is the most absurd. So I was thinking...
Horrible thoughts, I imagine. Who said you could come in here?
Now, the firebrand. May God give you patience. What will happen will only happen if you want it to. And don't you go thinking that I regard Figaro as the real obstacle in his lordship's way. If that little page weren't around...
You mean Cherubin?
Ooh, Cherubin d'amore. Who's forever hanging around you, like this morning, when he was on the prowl outside, waiting to come in just as I was leaving. Just say it's not true.
That's a fabrication. Get out, you horrible man.
So I'm a horrible man, am I? Because I can see beyond the end of my nose, and that poem he was keeping so quiet about, I suppose that was for you, too.
Yes, it was for me.
Unless, that is, he wrote it for her ladyship. Ooh, now I think of it, they do say that when he's serving at table, he stares at her with eyes like saucers. But by God, he'd better watch his step. His lordship is utterly pitiless where that sort of thing is concerned.
You are utterly unscrupulous, going around spreading slanderous rumors so you can ruin the chances of a vulnerable adolescent who's already got on the wrong side of the count.
You think I made it up? I only mentioned it because it's all the talk.
What's all the talk?
Oh, mercy.
Bazile, go and have him thrown out of the house at once.
I wish I'd never set foot in this room.
Oh, my word.
She's going to faint. Sit her down in the chair.
I don't want to sit down. Bursting in here without so much as a by your leave. It's disgraceful.
There are two of us here with you, my dear. You are in no danger now.
I apologize for having a little joke at the page's expense when you could overhear me. I only did it to find out what she really thought. For the fact is...
Give him 50 pistoles and a horse and send him back to his parents.
Surely not on account of my little gesture, lordship.
He's a precocious little devil. Only yesterday I caught him at it with the gardener's daughter.
Fanchette?
In her bedroom.
Where no doubt your lordship also had some business to see to.
Oh, that's what I like to hear.
At least she's thinking on the right lines.
No, I was there trying to find your Uncle Antonio, my drunken sot of a gardener. I had some instructions for him. I knock. It's a while before the door opens. Your cousin looks flushed. I get suspicious. I say something to her, and as we chat, I take a good look around. Behind the door was a curtain or some such hanging in front of a recess for keeping clothes, perhaps. Hanging in front, I'm not sure. Casually, I reach out my hand and gently, very gently, I lift the curtain.
To demonstrate, he lifts the dress from the chair.
And who do I see? Good God! As appearing acts go, this is as good as the last one. Was this then, young lady? You've only been engaged 5 minutes, and this is the sort of thing you get up to? So that's why you wanted to be alone, so you could be with my page. As for you, my lad, your behavior gets no better. You show little respect for your godmother, and you couldn't wait to start chasing her maid, who was about to become the wife of your friend. But I won't let Figaro, a man I like and respect, be the victim of your duplicity. Was he with you, Bazile?
There was no duplicity and no victim. He was there all the time you were talking to me.
Oh, I hope you don't mean that. Not even his own worst enemy would want to wish such a fate on him.
He was pleading with me to persuade her ladyship to speak to you on his behalf. When you arrived, he was so panic-stricken that he hid behind the chair.
Oh, that's a damned lie. When I came in, I sat in it myself.
It's true, sir. I was there, behind the chair. I was quaking like a jelly.
Another lie. That's where I was, not moments ago.
Excuse me, sir, but it was at the point that I got up in the seat and I hid behind.
You're as slippery as an eel, you damned serpent. You were listening.
No, not at all, your lordship. I tried ever so hard not to overhear anything.
A snake in the grass. You'll not be marrying Figaro after this.
Oh, get a grip on yourself. Someone's coming.
You stand there where everyone can see you.
Enter Figaro, the Countess, the Count, and Fanchette, together with numerous servants and peasants, all dressed for the revels.
Madam, only you can persuade him to grant us this honor.
You see how they are, my lord. They credit me with an influence which I do not have. But since what they ask is not unreasonable,
I would have to be very unreasonable for me not to.
Back me up to the hilt.
It won't get you anywhere.
Try anyway.
What is it you want?
My lord, your loyal vassals, in appreciation of your having abolished a certain unseemly custom, which for love of her ladyship...
Yes, the custom has ceased to exist. What are you trying to say?
That it is high time the goodness of such a considerate master received some form of public acknowledgement. I myself today am a beneficiary of that goodness, and it is my wish to be the first to celebrate it at my wedding.
No need for that, old friend. Banning a degrading custom is enough in itself to indicate the high regard I have for decency. Any full-blooded Spaniard is entitled to try to win a lady's love by paying his court to her. But demanding the first and sweetest use of her heart as though it were some servile due is uncivilized, barbarous behavior, not a right which any true-born Castilian nobleman would ever wish to claim.
Then, by your leave, grant that this innocent young woman whose virtue has been preserved intact through your goodness might receive from your hand and before the people here assembled this bridal bonnet trimmed with white feathers and ribbons as a symbol of the purity of your intentions. Adopt this practice for all wedding ceremonies hereafter, and may a few simple verses sung by all preserve the memory of this moment forever.
I didn't know that being a lover, poet, and musician gives you a triple license for behaving in all sorts of tomfoolery.
All together, friends.
Long live
his
lordship.
Why do you shy away from praise which you fully deserve?
Devious little minx.
Just look at her, sir. You couldn't have wished for a prettier face to demonstrate the magnitude of the sacrifice you make.
Leave my looks out of it and concentrate on his lordship's kindness.
This was all set up in advance.
I add my voice to theirs, my lord. This ceremony will always have a special place in my heart because it began in the tender love you once felt for me.
And still feel, madam. And it is in the name of that love that I now yield.
Long live his lordship.
Got me in a corner. I would merely suggest that to make the ceremony a more illustrious occasion, it should be put off until a little later today. I must send for Marceline at once.
What's this, you little pest? You aren't clapping.
He's feeling sorry for himself. His lordship has told him to go away.
Oh, sir, won't you change your mind?
He doesn't deserve it.
But he's so young.
When you married, madam, the feudal privilege you renounced wasn't the right to pardon.
He gave up only the right you all thought was a wrong.
If his lordship had really given up the right to pardon, I'm sure that in his heart it would be the first one he'd want to reinstate.
Naturally.
Then there's no need to reinstate it.
I've behaved very badly, your lordship, but I've never been indiscreet in anything I've said.
All right. That's enough.
What does he mean?
I said that's enough. Everyone wants him pardoned. Very well. I pardon him. And I'll even go one better. I shall give him a company in my regiment.
3
Cheers
cheers
for his lordship.
But only on condition that he leaves immediately for Catalonia to take up his command.
Oh, sir, couldn't you make that tomorrow?
My decision is final.
I shall obey.
Say goodbye to your godmother and ask her to pray for you.
And we cannot keep you for even one more day. Go you must. A new career awaits you. Make the most of the opportunity. Be a credit to his lordship. Remember this house, where as a boy you were treated with great kindness. Be loyal, honorable, and brave, and we shall all share your success.
You seem very moved, madam.
I won't deny it. Who can say what might happen to a boy pushed into such a dangerous career? He is related to my family, and he's also my godson.
So Bazile was right. Come, young man, kiss Suzanne for the last time.
Why the last time, sir? He'll be back to spend his winter leaves here. Come, Captain, kiss me too. Goodbye, Cherubin, my boy. Your life is about to be turned upside down, laddie. From now on, there'll be no more prowling about outside ladies' rooms all day for you. No more cakes and cream teas. No more hunt the slipper and blind man's buff. Just tough old soldiers, by God. Weather beaten, ragged, carrying long, heavy muskets. Right turn, left turn, forward march, onwards to glory. And no faltering on the way unless a musket shot.
Stop that at once. It's horrible.
What a picture!
But where's Marceline? It's very odd that she isn't here with the rest of you.
Please, sir, she's gone to town, along the lane that goes past the farm.
Oh, when's she coming back?
When the good Lord decides.
Let's hope he never decides.
I saw her walking back on the doctor's arm.
Is the doctor here?
Oh, she commandeered him the moment he arrived.
Couldn't have come at a better time.
She looked very put out. She was walking in a great loud voice, and she walked along, and then she'd stop and go like this, with her arms stretched out wide. Then the doctor went like this with his hand to calm her down. She was ever so cross, and she kept saying the name of my cousin Figaro.
Not quite yet, cousin-to-be.
Your lordship, have you forgiven us for yesterday?
That'll be all for now, my dear.
Marceline's in love. It's all she thinks about. She'd have ruined our wedding.
And she'll ruin it yet, that I guarantee. Come, madam, let us go in. Bazile, I want to see you in my study.
Will you drop by to see me later, my sweet?
Have we pulled the wool over his eyes?
What a silly boy you are.
Just a minute, you two. Part 1, getting the ceremonial adopted, has been achieved. The celebration of my wedding later on is part 2. We need to run through the arrangements carefully. Let's not be like actors who never perform so badly as when the critics are in the theater. Unlike them, we don't have a second night to make up for ruining the first. We've got to be word perfect tonight.
My part is a lot harder than you think.
And you have no idea what a startling success you're going to be in it.
But aren't you forgetting I'm going away?
Well, you prefer to stay?
If only I could.
We'll have to resort to low cunning. So no weeping and wailing when you leave. Hang your travel cloak over your shoulder, sling your bags over your saddle in full view, and make sure your horse is visible at the gate. Gallop as far as the farm, and then return on foot the way back. His lordship will think you've gone. Just keep out of his sight and leave me to smooth his feathers once the wedding is over.
But Fanchette hasn't learned her part.
Then what on earth have you been teaching her the past week? She's not been out of your sight.
You don't have anything else to do today, so you might as well give her an extra lesson.
Have a care, young man. Be on your guard. That girl's father is not best pleased. She's already had one good hiding from him. Learning her lines is the last thing she's been doing with you. Oh, Cherubin, Cherubin. You'll land her in deep trouble. You can lead a horse to water.
Damn, he's off again, the old fool and his venerable proverbs. All right, Professor. What has the wisdom of the ages to say on the matter? You can lead a horse to water and
he'll drink if he's thirsty.
That's not bad. Really, not bad at all.